The two voices in my head, taming the warrior and the gangster. My inner world isn't a crowded marketplace. It's a showdown between two extremes. Today I'm sharing my personal battle with the inner voices, from the disciplined warrior to the fearless gangster, and how the ancient concept of mitote and the wisdom of KRS-One are helping me find the balance. Most people describe their inner voice as a noise, a crowded room, a chaotic market. The Toltecs call this mitote, but for me, it never felt like a crowd. For me, it's a duel. There are only two voices in this arena, and they're both versions of me. On one extreme, there's the gangster, and there is the warrior on the other extreme. The gangster isn't a metaphor or some tough guy persona I adopted. This is lived in, it's proven. It's the part of me that knows with absolute certainty that I can survive in the darkest places. It's the voice that says when it's time to go, these dudes are not willing to go as far as I'm willing to go. And that voice speaks from experience. I was good at it. The code wasn't just words, it was life. No acts of cowardice, never gave up a name. I earned my place and I kept it, both on the street and behind the walls, where status is currency. The scars, the tattoos, the rap sheet speak more than I ever could. The gangster is a part of my resume. He's the hardened, fearless survivor who got me through things most people can't imagine. The curse and the blessing. He's always there. He's always an option. And part of me knows that if I really needed him, he's still right here, ready. That's not a boast. It's a fact of my existence, and that makes his voice in my head incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous. And then there's the other voice, the warrior. This voice is calm, disciplined. It's the one that checks me when I'm slipping, that reminds me to breathe, to stay sharp, to move with purpose. But let's be clear, this warrior is not some soft, peaceful monk who never saw the dark. This warrior was forged in the same fire as the gangster. He's trying to take all that raw strength, that fearlessness, the loyalty, the absolute will to protect what's mine, and point it in the opposite direction. The gangster's loyalty was to a set of rules on the street or behind the walls. The warrior's loyalty is to a code of honor for life. The gangster protected his area on the yard. The warrior strives to protect the peace and well-being of his community. Where the gangster used his fearlessness to dominate, the warrior uses that same exact fearlessness to be compassionate, to stand up for someone who can't stand up for themselves, to be a good neighbor, not out of weakness, but from a position of unshakable strength. I learned to read people's intentions in the blink of an eye on the street. Now I use that skill to sense when someone is hurting and needs a word of support or an ear to voice their pain. Coming up from that darkness wasn't wasted time. It was actually training. It was the brutal, unforgiving curriculum that taught me what real strength looks like. Now, as a warrior, I'm using that diploma not to take, but to contribute. The mission is different, but the engine is the same. The gangster's strength was for survival. The warrior's strength is for service. The goal is to be a good person without being a weak person. To use that same intensity, that same heart for the good of all. I was deep in one of these internal battles recently, mentally rehearsing a conversation where I was trying to redirect my thoughts from Billy Badass Tough Guy to calm down when I remembered something KRS-One said. It stopped me cold in my tracks. KRS-One said, "You can hear a voice in your head without moving your lips. You can have a conversation with yourself without making a sound. That's a miracle. You are already in contact with the divine. You're just calling it the wrong thing. You're calling it thinking." The personal aha moment when I heard this KRS, his words hit me differently this time. If I can hear both, the warrior and the gangster, arguing, then who am I? I'm neither of them. I'm the arena. I'm the boxing ring where these two voices duke it out for my attention. I'm the consciousness hosting the fight. So here, we need to create separation. This is the breakthrough. I'm not the warrior. I'm not the gangster. I am the awareness that can observe both of them. This creates the crucial space needed to end the battle. When the two become one, they create a third thing. Where have I heard that before? I'm the director, not the actor in this scene. The director can hear both characters, understand their motives, and decide which one, if any, is right for the current scene in my life. So how do you go from being the prize in a tug-of-war to becoming the director of the play? It's daily practice. Here's what I'm trying. I try naming the voices. Now, when the inner dialogue starts, I don't just get sucked in. I label it. Ah, that's the gangster talking. He's feeling threatened. Or, that's the warrior. He's trying to optimize me. Just naming them robs them of their power and reinforces that I am the separate observer. Identifying them actually shuts them up for a time. And during that time, I become fully aware of my material surroundings on this plane. It's a silence so deep, a connection with this earth I can't even explain. Then they come back, and I humor them, but from a different perspective now. Instead of letting them fight, I consult them. I literally ask, okay, gangster, what's your solution? And usually he wants to dominate, intimidate, or protect me somehow. And now the warrior, so what's your solution? And usually he wants to be understanding, make adjustments, persevere. I listen to both reports. Then as the director, I make a conscious choice. Sometimes the gangster's fearlessness is needed to set a boundary. Sometimes the warrior's discipline is needed to walk away. I aim for synthesis, not battle. KRS-One says, hip-hop is something we live. Therefore, I control what my inner world lives. If I feed my mind with aggressive music and violent media, the gangster gets stronger. If I feed it with philosophy and discipline, the warrior gets stronger. I have to be a conscious DJ for my own soul. The first agreement is, be impeccable with your word. This is the key. When my external words are truthful and purposeful, it forces the internal voices to align. I can't speak with integrity if my inner world is a chaotic civil war. My spoken word becomes the peace between these two voices. The goal isn't to kill the gangster or let the warrior always win. The goal is to integrate them, to thank them for their input, then make my own choice as the director. The gangster's fearlessness can be channeled into courage. The warrior's discipline can be channeled into consistency. My mitote is duality, not chaos. My awareness is the director of the play, not a character in it. Balance is not a fixed point. It's a daily, conscious act of choosing which aspect of myself to empower for any given situation. Peace comes from no longer identifying with either extreme, but from embracing the whole, complex self that contains them both. KRS-One said, rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live. I'm learning that thinking is something I do, but awareness is who I am. The warrior and the gangster are roles I can play, but I am the one who chooses that role. And finally, that makes me feel like I'm winning the battle. Not by defeating one side, but by finally taking charge of both.